Hello, Lensmates, and welcome. I'm your host, Book Lens. Today we're diving into a story with a title that is, well, quite a mouthful. We transmigrated into a rich family novel and married twin billionaire brothers. It's a wild ride, and it gets you thinking. What if you woke up inside a novel, not as the hero, but as the one who's supposed to lose it all?
So, why don't you find a really comfortable spot? Maybe even lie down for this one. Let's just explore this story together. A story that's all about flipping the script on a fate that seems totally set in stone.
I mean, have you ever wished you could just fall right into the pages of a book? It's that classic fantasy for anyone who loves to read, right? But this story, it takes that idea and cranks it up a notch. You don't just land in any book. You're dropped right into the glittering and, kind of treacherous world of the super rich.
So let's start there. Let's talk about this whole rich family fantasy. What is it about these stories? All the glamour, the power, the high society drama that just pulls us in. Why can't we seem to get enough?
Because we really do have a huge appetite for these stories, don't we? I mean, think about it. You've got the incredible spectacle of crazy rich Asians, the super tense, kind of dark humor of White Lotus, or, a classic like Gossip Girl with all its scandals. We're just hooked.
And yeah, the glamour and the power are fun to watch for sure. But the real draw? It's the drama. It's this idea that just under that perfect, polished surface, everything is about to explode. There's just something so satisfying about watching those perfect lives start to crack, isn't there?
But, okay, watching from the outside is one thing. Now just imagine, you go to sleep tonight and you wake up inside one of those stories. Not as you, but as one of the characters. That's where we get into what's called the transmigration trap.
So for anyone who might not know the term, book transmigration is exactly what it sounds like. It's a whole genre of fiction, really popular in web novels, where a reader literally gets transported into the world of a story they're reading. Sounds kind of like the ultimate escape, right? But there's almost always a catch.
And that is exactly where our story kicks off. Two best friends wake up one morning and bam, they are now the wives of twin billionaire brothers inside a novel. I mean, sounds like they hit the jackpot, right? But here's that cruel little twist of transmigration. You almost never get to be the main character. You're usually just a side player, a pawn, really, in someone else's game.
And in this case, they wake up in a very specific and, let's be honest, a very unfortunate role. This is what we call the cannon fodder problem.
So, what is cannon fodder? Well, you can think of these characters as disposable. They exist for one reason and one reason only: to fail. They're there to make the real heroes of the story look even stronger and more heroic. Their failure is literally written into the plot. From page 1, they are destined to lose.
And for our two best friends, their pre-written fate is just brutal. It's a simple 4-step plan for their complete ruin. First, they get caught making one huge mistake: transferring family money. Second, they get thrown out of the family in total disgrace. Third, their super powerful husbands then turn around and destroy their original families. And fourth, they just vanish from the story. Poof, their part is over.
But what happens when the characters who are supposed to be disposable decide they don't want to follow the script? Faced with this absolutely terrible destiny, our two friends make a choice. They decide to fight back. They're going to flip this whole script.
So let me ask you this, Lensmates. If this were you, if you woke up and realized you were a character who was written just to fail, what would you do? Would you accept it? Just play the part you were given? Or would you fight to rewrite?
This is where they have this brilliant realization. Their new plan isn't about trying to win the family fortune. No, it's about freedom. They figure, okay, if the original plot says we're going to get thrown out for taking money, then our only real power is to leave on our own terms before that happens. It's a complete shift. They're not fighting for the inheritance anymore. They're fighting to steal back their own lives.
So they come up with this amazing escape plan. The number one rule is avoid the trap. don't touch the family money. That's what triggers everything bad in the original story. So instead, they have to use their own skills. One of them actually starts writing a novel, and the other one starts a career in voiceover work. The goal is simple, but it's a race against time. Earn enough of their own money to get out before the plot catches up to them.
And this is where we get to the real heart of the story, what I think is the most powerful part. It makes you completely rethink what it means to win. It's not about what you inherit, it's about the true inheritance.
Just think about it. In all those stories we talked about, what's the prize everyone's fighting for? The money, the company, the fortune, right? But these two, they changed the game entirely. So if they weren't after the billion-dollar fortune, what was the real prize? What were they actually fighting for?
Well, what they really want was so much more valuable. They won their independence, the actual freedom to make their own choices. They had the strength of their friendship, which was probably the most important asset they had in a world designed to tear them down. And maybe most importantly, they won the power to write their own ending. They went from being disposable side characters to being the main characters of their own lives.
It really leaves you with this thought, doesn't it? That maybe the greatest wealth you can ever have is just having control over your own story. Thank you so much for joining me in exploring this one, Lensmates. Until next time.